Yeah, I'll react to that, sure.
Hey guys, what do you know? Another New England town without an original name. Portsmouth. Great. I have two Rick Steves Europe. I love this channel. Portsmouth videos. I hope they don't overlap. I'm guessing they don't. So we're going to be learning about Portsmouth right now, or just viewing it. Preemptive like on both. The original link to the video from Rick Steves Europe, top of the description. Below that, link to the Discord. Would love to have you. My name is Connor. I'll be your tour guide today. I don't know anything. I can't be a tour guide.
Back when Britannia ruled the waves, it did so with its mighty navy, based here in Portsmouth's historic dockyard. This sprawling museum highlights England's storied maritime heritage, both very old and relatively new.
It's really hot in here. I just gotta open the window. One sec. Ow! Shoot. Oh God, I hope I don't get demonetized. I said fudge. We're starting over. This is a disaster.
It did so with its mighty navy, based here in Portsmouth's historic dockyard. This sprawling museum highlights England's storied maritime heritage, both very old and relatively new. Like this gunboat from World War I that saw action at the Battle of Gallipoli. In a modern building just steps away is the oldest ship in the collection, the Mary Rose, or what's left of her. This awe-inspiring in its day warship, King Henry VIII's favorite, sank in 1545 while fighting the French just off the coast. The ship and its doomed crew while fighting the French.
Are those cannons? Facing upward?
Just off the coast. The ship and its doomed crew of 500 sank and settled into the mud, where it rested for about 450 years. The surviving bits of the ship, with a rich trove of artifacts, have been preserved and are beautifully displayed. All sorts of Tudor-era items were found. Personal belongings, weaponry, a backgammon board, and even the skeleton of Hatch, the ship's dog.
Oh, Hatchy.
Found. Personal belongings.
I could walk along this little stretch here for hours just looking.
Weaponry, a backgammon board, and even the skeleton of Hatch, the ship's dog. These artifacts humanize the everyday life of English sailors from 5 centuries ago. 3 centuries later, another state-of-the-art warship was the HMS Warrior. Built in 1860, it never saw a day of battle. That's because the Warrior was so formidable, it was considered unbeatable. Its very existence was sufficient to keep the peace. The Warrior was the first ironclad warship, a huge technological advance. It had about a 10-year window of invincibility. But after 1870, with the advent of guns on turrets and stronger steam engines replacing sails altogether, the Warrior was mothballed.
Yeah, it sort of makes me kind of sad when I hear it's the first, ironclad or, metal, any type of reinforced hull or whatever, is because I know the age of wooden sailing, purely wind propelled wooden ships is dying off, which obviously wooden ships had been the material for thousands of years, and just one of those times where I know so much of the mastery of all of the everything when you look at a giant wooden warship is gonna go away.
Placing sails altogether, the Warrior was mothballed. About 200 years ago, the most important British ship ever, the HMS Victory, changed the course of world history. The French Emperor Napoleon had been terrorizing the continent. By 1805, he had amassed a huge fleet and was preparing to invade England. Admiral Horatio Nelson, who commanded the British fleet from this ship, cornered the French fleet at the Cape of Trafalgar off the coast of Spain. The huge Battle of Trafalgar ensued. While Nelson was killed, the British emerged victorious. Today, the dry-docked Victory feels ready to haul anchor and set sail at any moment. For the British, this ship is more a shrine than a museum. The Victory bristles with cannon lining several gun decks. It took well-trained British sailors only 2 minutes to ready a cannon for firing, aim, and shoot, compared to 8 minutes for the French. Inside on the gun decks, you can imagine the noise, smoke, and confusion of battle as cannons fired in unison, recoiled, and were reloaded. All the while, enemy fire crashed into and splintered the ship around the men. Climbing through the ship with its low ceilings, you can feel how cramped the living conditions were. There was no such thing as privacy, and the tight quarters created a forest of hammocks. Often, sailors slept right where they fought. When not in battle, they ate at tables wedged between their guns.
Hardtack?
The great cabin was Admiral Nelson's quarters. Imagine Nelson and his officers hunched over charts to plan an attack. While it looks like an officer's living quarters, everything was designed for action. In minutes, the furniture could be folded and stowed, turning this space into a fully functional cannon deck. During that fateful Battle of Trafalgar, Nelson...
I'm going to go back so I don't skip that. I want to try and make like an evolution analogy, but just the environment that countries grew up in, that nations grew up in, whatever you want to call it, really steered which way, you know, amazing land armies and ships. And it's so clear that I would imagine everyone would be afraid of the British Navy for so long, because they don't necessarily need a giant land army. I've said this a lot of times, but I think the British Navy is just overpowered. In order to defeat the British with a land army, you have to land in Great Britain. And to do that, you have to get past the Royal Navy. And the Royal Navy can cut off your trading routes. It can bombard your coastal cities, and you can do nothing about it. And so it's just, you know what I mean?
During that fateful Battle of Trafalgar, Nelson was shot by a sniper. A golden plaque on the deck marks the spot where Nelson fell. The crew rushed him below deck to care for their leader in his dying hours. It's on this spot that Nelson died.
So this spot here was, so when Lord Nelson was mortally wounded on the upper deck, he was taken down here. Just before he was about to die, Captain Hardy come down and said to him, "Sir, we've won the battle." And he said, "Thank God I've done my duty."
Romantic paintings show the Admiral lifted to heaven by angels, like a saint.
All right, let's see the next one.
Busy port. A major city on England's south coast is the busy port of Portsmouth, long the home of the Royal Navy. For centuries, Britain, a maritime superpower, relied on the fleets based here to maintain and expand its vast empire. As an obvious military target, Portsmouth was nearly flattened by World War II bombs, but has been rebuilt since 1945. Its cathedral survived only because the Nazis used it as a beacon to help guide their bombs. With post-war construction hasty and poorly planned, the city became infamous for its bad architecture. But an impressive gentrification is underway. As the Navy shrinks and tourism grows, Portsmouth is enjoying new life. Underneath a sail-like tower, its formerly gritty industrial waterfront has been transformed into a vital shopping and restaurant complex. The The once formidable ramparts are now a park-like promenade lined with historic points of interest, mostly ignored by those simply enjoying a refreshing stroll. With the notoriously blustery weather, local kids gather at the base of the wall. Nicknamed the Hot Walls.
Guys, do you think that the American Navy today is less formidable than the British Navy during its height? Obviously adjusted. Obviously it's more technologically advanced, but I feel like the British Navy, I don't know enough, might have been more would have maybe outmatched more than America could today. I really don't know. I just wonder, you know.
It's out of the wind and retains warmth from the unreliable English sun. At the tip of the ramparts, formerly salty old pubs now serve not sailors, but a trendy crowd. Their conversation is punctuated by the passage of massive ships and ferries artfully powering through the narrow mouth of the harbor.
Guys, I gotta watch other, Rick Steves videos outside of Britain. I've pretty much done all of them. And even these ones were videos from, I need a new freaking chair, were shorter videos of larger ones I'd seen, right? But more specific to certain areas. Still love it, love watching them. And I think I'm gonna move on to more French ones, maybe Spanish, Italian, German, Alps area. Hope you guys are all doing well. Would love to see any comments at all, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.